In this video, I show you how to sew 2 simple wallets yourself. Have fun! Hello and welcome to a new video. I will now show you how to sew these 2 simple wallets yourself. There is a pattern for this project, which I have named Joy. Because I think this simple way of sewing wallets is just a lot of fun. You can use scraps of fabric for this and play with the composition of the individual elements. Joy is available in 2 variants. A minimalist square version, a classic shape with 2 card slots on the inside. And a version that is a little more playful, rounded, and with a push button. I'll link the pattern to you in the info box, and I'll also show you here where you can find my Etsy shop. I hope you enjoy watching and, as always, sewing. Here you can see the cut materials for the square, Joy. You need the main part once from the outer fabric and once from interfacing. Once the inner fabric. Once the card compartment from the outer fabric. A zipper with 9 cm length and 90 cm bias tape. Cut the notches from the card slot and main part as shown. Transfer the notches to the fabric by either drawing or cutting them. You can now fold the card compartment once in the middle along the notches, so that the nice side of the fabric is on the outside and the notches are in the crease. Iron the crease. Take the main part and iron the interfacing on the left side. Look on which side the notch is farther from the edge. Here on the left in the picture. Now lay your inner fabric with the nice side up on the main part in such a way that the fabrics are flush on the side where the notch is further away from the edge. Fold both fabrics inwards together along the notches and iron the crease. You do the same with the other side. Here the inner fabric sticks out a bit at the top. That is supposed to be like that. Line up the 2 ironed sides exactly, then use your finger to smooth down the inner fabric in the middle so it doesn't curl, like this. Now iron the middle crease. Iron the entire bias binding so that the back side sticks out a little at the top. The nice thing is that we are completely through with the ironing, and now it's time for the sewing machine. First, let's take care of the card slots. Lay the extra card pocket with the open edges up against the edge of the inner fabric that protrudes. I put 2 clips on the other side so that the fabrics stay on top of each other. Hold the 3 open edges of the fabric and put the rest next to the sewing machine. Bind the edge with bias tape. Lay the side of the bias tape that is sticking out a little down, so you make sure that you sew up the bottom layer. You can lock the seam at the beginning and end like all seams. Fold the wallet back into the pre-ironed shape but fold away the outer fabric. We now only want to sew the extra pocket to the inner fabric. On the extra compartment, sew the compartment at the bottom with 1 centimeter to the edge. The only thing missing on this side is the bias tape for the first compartment. To do this, only take your outer fabric and, seen from the right side of the fabric, enclose this edge with bias tape. Let's move on to the zippered compartment on the other side. Here the outer and inner fabric close together and are edged together with the bias tape. To do this, open the wallet again and put the outside up. Leave the piece as it is and switch to a zipper foot. Cut off enough of the zipper at the top to leave 1 centimeter above the metal part, so you can put the end flush. Place the left side of the zipper under the bias binding and sew the zipper on like this. My zipper is a bit longer, I'll shorten it in a moment. Bind the right side of the zipper with bias tape and sew the section in place. We now want to close the zipped compartment, but again only sew on the inner fabric so that it is not visible from the outside later. To do this, first fold everything back together, pin the zipper to the right and left of the inner fabric and then fold the outer fabric away so that you don't sew it up. Sew the compartment to the right edge of the bias tape. You can either do this with the zipper sewing foot or, like me, with the normal one. Fold the wallet into its correct shape. If you like, attach the compartments with clips and push the zipper in the middle. Now we come to the last and trickiest step, which is to bind the outer edges with bias tape. This is not that difficult in itself, but if you want it to look neat, you have to pay attention to a few things. I'll show you the step in detail. First of all, it is important that you sew from the outside here, so turn the wallet that way. I cut the end of the bias tape at an angle so that the longer tip is on the closed side. Then I unfold the bias tape and cut away another part on the inside, diagonally downwards, so that you can see a rhombus from the inside. As a result, the end is not too thick. I put the wallet between the bias tape and let the tip and about 4 mm more protrude, then I fold the tip down and only then the side over it. Then I fumble the end with my small pointed scissors so that you can't see the folded part from the outside, and also check that the bias tape is about the same width from above and below. Then quickly slide everything under the foot so that nothing slips and enclose the entire side with the bias tape. Make sure that you don't sew too close to the edge of the bias tape here, as this sometimes means that the back side is not sewn when there are several layers to be bound. If that happens, you can end up sewing over it again from the other side, or you can unstitch and redo the area. Arriving at the end about 5 cm before the end, I stop and prepare the end of the bias tape again. I leave a little overhang and then cut a tip, unfold the tip and remove some more of the bias tape from the inside. I tuck the tip over the end and fold in the bias tape. Lay it out with the scissors and also hold it with the tip of the scissors until I have reached the point where the sewing foot is holding the spot. Finish the seam and you're done. Repeat these steps for the second side. Remember to sew from the outside again and the square, joy, is done. Let's move on to the rounded version of joy. I think it's a bit easier and faster. With this model, I made the inner compartments out of vinyl, so you can see at first glance how much money you have with you. But I also show you what you have to do if you sew the inner compartments out of normal fabric. By the way, with both wallet variants you can put several cards in the card compartments. Here we go. Here you can see the cut parts. You need the main part once from the outer fabric, once from the inner fabric and once from interfacing. If you don't make the zip and card compartment out of vinyl, you'll also need outer fabric, inner fabric and optionally interfacing for these parts. One layer is enough for vinyl. Also 95 cm bias tape, a 9 cm zipper and a snap fastener. Iron the interfacing onto the left side of the main fabric and onto both compartments from the outer fabric. Prepare the entire bias tape by folding it in half and ironing it so that the back side is sticking out. Lay the outer and inner fabric of the compartments on top of each other, left sides together, and bind the top straight edge with bias tape. I'm doing this now with my 2 vinyl compartment parts. We use the narrower compartment piece for the zipper. Cut off enough of the top of the zipper ends to leave a centimeter over the metal part. Change your presser foot. Place the left side of the zipper under the bias tape and sew the zipper in place. Bind the right side of the zipper with bias tape as well. Take your inner fabric, lay it nice side up and place your zip pocket on top. It is best to clamp the parts together below. Sew the right edge of the bias tape to the inner fabric, like this. I'm doing this again with the normal sewing foot. Everything is coming together now. Place your outer fabric, nice side down, under the inner fabric. You can now use the clamps to put all the fabrics together. Attach the card compartment to the other side in the same way. Now we enclose the entire wallet with bias tape. I explained in detail in the first part how I process the ends of the bias tape. If you jump straight to this version, I'll show you where to find that spot here. It is important again that we sew this section from the outside. I also think it makes sense to start at the point where the fewest fabrics meet, which means in the middle of the longer side. You don't have to fold in the bias tape at the beginning. Just put your wallet in the slot and sew the bias tape all around. In the 4 curves, take your time to place the bias tape evenly over the curve. I like to do it by stopping a few centimeters beforehand and laying the complete curve in the bias tape and then holding the curve with the small scissors until it is sewn. When you have reached the end, thin out the bias tape and fold it over so that it extends over the beginning of the bias tape. Fold the wallet into shape and iron the center crease. Now all that's missing is the snap fastener. Fold the wallet in half lengthways to find the middle. Then, use the awl to prick the middle where the bias tape meets the fabric. Attach your snap, then repeat these steps for the second side. And then, joy 2 is finished. I hope you like the instructions and the pattern. I myself have become a bit addicted to this pattern and have sewn several models. I'm really looking forward to see your makes of joy. Feel free to tag me on Instagram if you have sewn a joy. I'm happy to see you again with my next video, and until then, I wish you all the best.